What's going on, everybody? Christian here. Well, it's been a really interesting week. I'm not gonna lie. It's been very impactful, very interesting in many retrospects. And one thing that's kind of come up was this theme that I wanted to, share with you guys and talk about a little bit today. Because there seems to be this really weird misunderstanding of how we can work and work on ourselves and build ourselves up in the world and how we can develop ourselves, how we can, that whole concept of, self-improvement. And I was actually just on a call a little bit ago, which was a great, clarification is that like the idea is self-improvement, yes. However, it's actually not us that's improving. It's, us allowing the Father to work in us and through us, and that He's the one who's actually improving us. So very clear distinction between the differences, but still, yes, that overall concept of we are improving, we are still developing, but it's not just us, it's someone else. But anyways, side note, sorry. Uh, but the idea is that how can we keep working on ourselves and how is it that we develop? And here's the thing, you're meant and you're capable of so much more than what you actually let on. You are this like endless ball of potential that is just made up of a cluster of cells that eventually took on this form, and it is just waiting for you to access that potentiality, that what could come from this. I've never talked to a parent who's ever not said that when they look at their kid, they're like, I can just like see the whole world. Like you're capable of anything. Like I can't wait to see what your potential is of what you're willing to do. And it's because we're all filled with that vast possibility of endless potential. What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to work towards? Who do you want to become? What do you want to be like? What do you want to believe in? Everything. And and what's amazing is that it's all on you. You can figure that out. Now, granted, that is also hard because if you're trying to figure out life and you're on your own, yeah, that makes it really, really hard. But if you have someone around you, or if you have that family or someone that is around that is able to help pour into you and to give you guidance, then phenomenal. So very needed. We all need that. We all need that guidance and structure in our lives, especially if we don't have any whenever we're first grown up. But the idea is just that you can do and become anything you want. So if you want to, I was talking with one of my other younger youth guys, and he was just asking me about, how to become more like more, and the way I guess he was saying it is, more like better, like being able to just work on yourself, to be able to be things to become more fluid and having that sense of overbearing confidence. And it's like when you walk in a room, like you just know who you are. Everyone knows who you are, and you can just walk with your chest held high or your chest out and your head held high and whatnot. And pretty much my response to him in short was, it's because of God, because I, chose to have a relationship with my Savior, and He was the one who's able to give me that confidence. He was the one who was able to build me up in that sense. It was Him who's the one who gave me my identity. My identity is in Christ, and when I had it in the world, didn't know who I was. I gave it to Him, and then He showed me where my identity was, and He showed me what mattered and what was important and what mattered to me and all these things. And so the idea is that you work on yourself. You give over the most important. I mean, you give everything, of course, but you give it over to Yahweh. You say, "Here, I'm giving you this thing, this problem, this burden, this thought, this feeling, everything." You give it over to Him, and He is going to guide and show you who you are and where you're at and what you can be. And you can choose to go as far or as not far as you really wish to. It's kind of all you putting in your own effort. Like how much effort are you willing to put in? How much sacrifice are you willing to endure and to go through to reach these goals or to become this person or to achieve whatever that thing is that you may like. You might want to be a businessman, you might want to be a doctor, you might want to be a lawyer, you might want to do any number of things. You want to be a family man and you want to be a something somewhere to someone. And those are all great things. It's whatever you want to do, but are you willing to put in that work? You want to be a doctor, you're going to be in school not only for the rest of your life, but you ain't going to be dealing with a patient for whatever it is, 6, 8, 10 years or something like that. So you got to do a lot of work that gets you to there, right? When you think back to it, Yeshua, he didn't even start his ministry till I think it was like 30, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't even actually start his ministry with his disciples till he was 30, because it took him time to prepare, to take on that type of the ministry he did and all the work that goes into that and becoming, who he was, of course, who he is that it takes time and preparation. So you have to work on yourself daily. And obviously, the earlier you start, or the earlier you train your kids into starting, the better off they are. But working on yourself each day, you just find out who you want to be, and then you find out the qualities and the traits and the characteristics that they have and that you want to be more like. And you start doing those things. You start to follow them, and then you're going to learn and grow more. And that's why I tell guys, I'm like, hey, if you do anything, just go listen to podcasts. Go start to listen to something, somewhere, or someone, and that will lead you on this trail of what do you find interesting, what do you admire, what do you want to be like, what do you want to learn, what do you want to know about, and all these things. So that's just kind of my idea for this week. Was that was just something that had come up, and it was just wanting people, it was wanting you guys to really understand that you have the power of the world at your fingertips, right? You really do. And I want you to understand that, and to take that into full understanding and consideration, that what you do, you choose what you want to do. So your power and potential of growth is in your hands. So if you are one who goes, I just want to hang out with my friends, I want to play video games, I want to watch porn, I just want to hang out, I just want to eat like crap, I just want to stay up till all hours of the night. And if it's like I want to do all these things, then okay, you can. That's your free will. You can choose to do that, but you're not going to be successful in any definition. But you're not going to be rich, right? Or you're not going to be a great businessman if you give into your fleshly temptations and stuff like that. You're not going to have a fulfilling life if all you do is give in to instant gratification. You're not going to be, you're not going to be able to be joyful and fulfilled with a passion and a purpose in life if all you do is live in distractions. Okay? So it's things like that to know that if you're giving in to certain things, and again, it's not like, oh, you have to do everything, or I can't do anything, or I can't have fun. My life has to be all work. But it's like, no, there's a healthy balance, but there's also what you choose to have fun. I've talked about this extensively many times before. Is your idea of fun, drinking, sex, alcohol? I already said that one. Drinking, drugs, all like, staying out at the nightclubs and doing all the things you shouldn't be doing. If that's what you consider fun, then that's what you do. Or you could be like, I like to hang out with my friends. We like to read the Bible. We like to go miniature golfing. We like to go horseback riding. We like to go fishing or hunting or in the swimming hole or something. There's a lot of things that are fun in the world. So finding out kind of what your definition of that is, and whether it's fun or whether it's just distracting or an entertainment to keep you from where you want to be. Again, that stuff you have to kind of discover for yourself, and if you don't know, then you need to be able to try and ideally find someone who you can at least say that I would look up to that individual, and I want to get their point of view, their perspective. Let me go to them and get some guidance and clarity and help, things of that nature. So that's just kind of the idea right now for this week is it's on you, and which is awesome because now you know that all the power is in your hands. Also kind of scary because now it's like, what do I do? Where do I go? What step do I take? Hence the idea of me saying that you need to find a very solid mentor or guide, guidance counselor, someone who's able to give you that kind of structure and point you in the directions and be able to be there to help you out whenever you have questions. So some things along this line is Bernard Shaw. He says, people who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. All right. So if anyone's naysaying you, having a chip on your shoulder is much better than, a lot of things you could probably have in life. It's a really good thing. Is someone who says you can't do it is like, okay, watch me. I'll do it. So, so don't listen to naysayers. Just do what you believe is right, and you're going to live a life of just figuring out what is right and what is wrong. I mean, even Buddha's got one that says, what we think we become. So if you tell yourself that you are something or someone, then you're going to believe that. All right. And but if you tell yourself something positive, then you're going to start believing it. If you tell yourself something negative, you're going to believe it as well. So I do this even now. I'm getting back into my old habit. I used to sit there and do what I call mirror talk. I look in a mirror and I speak out loud verbally, and I'm talking to myself and I'm going, God loves you, you know, girlfriend loves you, your brother loves you, your roommates love you, this is positive. You're gonna get here, you're gonna learn that, you're gonna become better here, you're gonna overcome those lies, those addictions, those whatever the case is, whatever's going on in your life, you're gonna speak the positivity and the truth of what the word says. You're going to speak that into your life, and you're going to speak against the opposite, the negatives, the lies, the things that the enemy's going to be telling you. So that's something I used to do before, and now I'm getting back into that new habit of, you know, I hadn't done that in a while now. And so I had some of those old things that were coming back of lies from the enemy, for example, and I was starting to kind of feed in on those. And I was like, oh man, so then after having a few conversations with some friends, we kind of got on this, like, you need to talk about yourself positively in a loving way. And I'm like, I used to do that. And I was good when I did that. And it's been a couple of years since I've done that. I need to get back on it. So I only just started that the other day, was trying to get back into that routine of speaking that positivity in life in my life. Not that other people aren't, but I need to say it to myself so I actually believe it. And I know it might sound weird. I know it might sound blah, whatever, but it's real. It's true. It actually works. I know because I've done it, and everyone I've ever said it for them to try it, it's always helped them. So moving on. Alexander the Great says there is nothing impossible to him who will try. So if you tell yourself to do something, like I'm very big on this, which is a pro and a con, depending on what the situation is and what the season is and who's around to have to deal with it. If I tell myself to do something, I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm going to do it. And that's great because then it's that strong drive and dedication, but also, there can also be an unhealthy version of that. So it's finding the healthy version in there. I don't think I've fully gotten to that point yet, but it's a process. It's something I'm still learning. So if you tell yourself to do something, do it. Be a man of your word and do it. Hold yourself to that standard. That's going to carry you a lot further in this life than many things. And one of the things that's going to keep you from doing those things is this Latin phrase that I say never, I don't think I've ever said it correctly because I don't speak Latin, but same one I've said many times over, which is "Enster quinticus invenitar," and filth it will be found, which means what you most need is in the place that you least likely want to look. Like, you don't want to look in the deep dark cave because you're scared of the boogeyman and whatever else might be living in there. But that's where you're at. Your fear is in there, and you need to face that fear that's in that dark cave for you to be able to overcome it and realize, oh wow, look at that. There's actually a light switch right over here. I can actually now just flip on the light. It's actually not that scary. Those sounds were not actually monsters. They were just my imagination, which tends to screw us over a little bit more than most other things. But that's just kind of the idea there. And Amos 3:2, it goes, from among all the families on the earth, I have been intimate with you alone. That is why I must punish you for all your sins. And I like that one because it was pointing out that, and I didn't bring in so many others from Proverbs that I wanted to because I came up with so many. But there's so many in Proverbs where it talks about how, God loves those or he disciplines those he loves, right? If you don't love someone, if you're a parent, if you're a friend, if you're anyone, and you don't discipline someone and in the sense of they do something wrong and you don't call it out, that whole iron sharpening iron thing. If you're not holding each other accountable, if you're not calling out the wrong or evil, or the lies that are done or anything like that, if you're not holding someone up to the standard that they are capable of actually attaining, that's when we start to level. That's where we start to drop down level and level at a time these ideas of what of in today's world. It's like what is an idea or an ideal man or woman, or what's even a good person. And it's like our morals and values have dropped dramatically over the years and generations, that we're at an all-time low of crazy ridiculous stuff that's going on. But anyways, the idea behind that is that actually being willing to call stuff out, and being able to be that for yourself, for someone else, of I know you're capable of more than that. Like, I know you like, did you try? Okay, if you did, you did. Understanding, compassion, and everything that's in there. But then also finding out someone who's just going to be using that as an excuse of, well, I tried or whatever, or I had this going on, and it's still calling certain stuff out. So I don't want to beat that dead horse anymore. We get, like, I hope we get the idea behind there. Um, but yeah, so just knowing that we need to hold ourselves and others to a standard, and that will help build up others and more. Because then if you lower the standard, it goes down, and everyone after that generation is going to keep going down. So if you finally stop it and you start building it back up and you start challenging them, the standard is going to go back up. All right, Proverbs 16:3, commit your works to the Lord and your plans will be established. You know, I don't think there's a single prayer in my life that I've ever said that has been answered thus far that has come in the way I thought. Because for the past many, many years, I've been praying for buying a business and for the person, that I'm going to have in my life. And I've been praying for a business for almost 2 years and my person for my whole life. And, I thought those were going to come in very different ways. And I was like, let me have the business first. I can get that stuff going and figured out, and then I can have a much more time and attention for my person. And guess what? He's like, joke's on you. Here's both at the exact same time. You know, enjoy juggling both of these top prayers that you had. And I'm like, and I've been for the past like 5 months, like juggling that and like crazy. And it's exhausting and it's tiring at times, but still, he didn't give me more than I could take on. Even though it feels like it most times, I know it's not more than what I can take on because he knows me better. Ecclesiastes 9:10, whatever your hands find to do, do with all your might, or do with your might. And again, very, very simple idea behind there is that if you're going to do something, give it your all. Don't half-heartedly do it, right? Don't don't just like do something or start something for no little to no reason. Actually do it. Try it. If you like it, great. If you don't, then you can stop and try something else. You're discovering and learning a whole lot about yourself. So if you're gonna do something, give it your all. Don't half it. So then we got Isaiah 55:8 says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. And it's like, yeah, absolutely, because he's a little bit more, all knowing and all powerful than we are. So, I've had this idea of what life would be like, or the goals, or how things would work out. And again, not a single one has ever happened in the way I thought. And now it's happened even better in some instances than what I thought. And I know it will grow, other things will grow into being even better than where I think they're at now. So just because it doesn't go the way you think doesn't mean that it's wrong. Okay. The Father's got much bigger ideas and plans and understanding than you or I will ever be able to comprehend ever. So trust in that. If you trust Him, then trust in that. Jeremiah 17:9-10, it says, the heart is more deceitful than all else and is desperately sick. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart. I test the mind to give to each person according to his ways, according to the results of his deeds. Again, He knows your heart. You're not going to be able to trick God. He knows your heart. So if you're doing something because you want something else from it, if you're saying something because you're hoping someone else will say something else, if you're doing anything that's wrong and in your heart because you're listening to the flesh, then guess what? He knows that, and he's gonna correct that. He's gonna have to fix you, challenge you. He's gonna test you. He's gonna do whatever he does because he's God. But know that um, that just because we want something in the flesh doesn't mean it's good. It actually normally tends to mean it's bad, because if we're doing it in the flesh, it's wrong. But if we're trying to listen to it in the spirit and we're trying to find out what that version is, like, that's a new thing for me as well. Like, I know the flesh. I've been in it for my whole life. It's the spirit that's still newer in a sense, that I'm still trying to listen and learn from that. So know that whether you've been in it for a day or a year or a decade, you're always going to be learning and growing. And so accept that patience. That's a hard one for me. I don't accept patience all that well. So that's something I'm still growing into as well. So I got a lot of problems that I'm still working on myself. But I can at least understand some of the benefits and the positive fruit that comes from those things. So I'm just trying to focus on that and see and focusing on that and how it will get me closer to the Father, of listening to the Spirit and not listening to the flesh. So, um, moving on is so in Jeremiah 1:5. He says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you." So again, we go back to the idea that God knew us long before He did creation, right? Before He even spoke, let there be light. He already knew who we were. He already knew every hair on our head, every mistake we'd ever make, everything about us. And there's a nice piece to that because you know that that He, even though as evil, as sinful, as wrong, the wrongs we've committed is anything that's not of God, uh, that we've committed, and there's plenty. I know I've done plenty. I know we all have. That there's still a piece in that He knows that even though we went to that degree and length of evil, of flesh in the world, that He still created us, and He said, "I still need you. I still want you." And I don't know, that's a really reassuring thing for me to know that okay, He's like He knows all this bad that I did and would and have done, and even what I will do because I'm still human and I'm still gonna stumble, but He's still been able to give me that grace and mercy. So knowing that is a really great thing to know that you're gonna do stuff, you're gonna screw it up, you're gonna hurt people, you're gonna do wrong, but working to become better and to love your neighbors yourself more and more each day, and you're gonna learn the lessons in life a lot harder. It's through the hard knocks of life, as we say. So Matthew 16:21-23. From that time, Jesus began to point out to his disciples that it was necessary for him to go to Jerusalem and to suffer many things from the elders, chief priests, and scribes, and to be killed, and to be raised up on the third day. And yet Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "God forbid it, Lord, this shall never happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan, you are a stumbling block to me, for you are not setting your mind on God's purpose, but man's." So that whole thing kind of just to say, as humans, we want comfort, we want to relax, we want to have fun, we want to enjoy things. Nothing wrong with that. But you still have to go through some type of pain and suffering and endurance and sacrifice. We're told to, we have to kill our flesh. We have to sacrifice our flesh every day. We have to carry our cross every day. And if you've ever had to carry anything like big that weighs a lot, it's really tiring really fast, and you have to carry it every day in every situation. So yeah, it's exhausting. There is sacrifice. You are sacrificing your flesh. You have to, give into the spirit and push away from the flesh, and that's hard because that's what we know. So all that was just to say that, know and understand and accept that you're gonna go through hard things, and that is life. That is what you're supposed to do. Because if everything came easy, you wouldn't learn what is most valuable, and that's the lessons in the situation. Situation couldn't matter less, really, for the most part. It is the lessons you learn, it is the character you build. Whenever someone's going through something hard and they say, "Hey, it's building character," it's very true because your character is being built. Do you give in or uh, and give up, or do you push through and are you willing to take on the challenge? And you're going to mess it up and you're going to give in many times. Like I've given in so many times to the flesh or to weakness or to any number of things of the world that I've given into. After I've done it, then I've learned and gone, "Oh, wow, I did that wrong. Okay, I need to do this better. Okay, when that happens, this is going to happen. Okay, and now I need to understand how I'm going to react to situations, what I'm going to think and believe. And now I know I need to tell myself X. I need to believe in X, whatever that is for you. It's different for everybody." And finally, because I've been going on forever, Matthew 10:22, and you'll be hated by all because of my name, but it is the one who has surrendered to the end who will be saved. Again, it's knowing that it's the end goal that matters. It's not what this world tells us. It's not what our friends and family and all the posts and hype of the world is going to tell us. It is, what is going to matter most, and that's going to be our relationship with the Father and who we were as a person and the positive impact we were able to have. And that doesn't just mean, were you a good person? Okay, you're good, you're saved. It's much deeper than that. Um, but what are you willing, this whole thing is you have endless potential. You're not created for good or evil, like you are just endless potential. And you are going to be a product of your environment. So whenever you get to the point, unfortunately, some people are born in a bad environment, so that does happen. But whenever you grow up, whenever you can learn and go, this is truth, this is love, that's something that I should probably strive for more than this. Let me start going in this better route and direction. And that's the process, that's the journey you have to walk. Anyways, went on way longer than I thought. My bad. All right, I love you guys. I hope that was able to be helpful to someone. I love you all, and you know, y'all take care, and I'll see you next time.